Okay, let's picture London, 1907. Gaslit streets, lots of glamour, but also, those dark shadows. We're diving into a really captivating case today.
Absolutely. Way beyond even the Bermondsey horror people might know.
Right. Our mission here is to unpack the Camden Town murder using the sources you've provided. It's this chilling, unsolved mystery, a young woman, an artist, a strange postcard.
A really sensational trial. We want to pull out the key insights, the surprising bits, and sort of understand why this case, why it still gets under your skin.
So let's start with the victim, Emily Dimmock.
Yes, Emily. She came to London from rural Hertfordshire, started in the domestic service, pretty standard.
But then things changed.
They did. She adopted the name Phyllis and entered what they call the demi-monde, basically prostitution near King's Cross.
And she was living with someone.
Yeah, her common-law husband, Bert Shaw. He was a railwayman, worked long hours, which actually gave him a rock-solid alibi later.
So she had this hidden life.
A very fragile double life, exactly. And tragically, this meant that when she was murdered, her life, her choices, they sort of put her on trial in the eyes of the public.
That's grim. How did that public perception actually affect the investigation, do you think?
Oh, massively. Her profession made her vulnerable, not just physically, but to judgment. People focused on her lifestyle, almost as much as the crime itself. It fueled the whole media frenzy around it.
Okay, so walk us through the discovery. She was last seen September 11th, 1907.
That's right. At the Eagle Pub, she was with an artist, Robert Wood. Witnesses noted she seemed hurried, a bit untidy that night.
And the next morning,
Bert Shaw, her husband, came back to their flat in Camden. It was locked. Inside, chaos. Drawers ransacked, his razors laid out, which is ominous.
Very.
He had to force the bedroom door open, also locked. And inside, he found Emily, naked, her throat cut savagely. Ear to ear was the phrase used, almost decapitated.
Horrific. And the killer
Had cleaned up meticulously, apparently using Emily's own petticoat. Then locked both doors on the way out and took the keys. Very controlled in a way.
Chilling. But then came a breakthrough, right? This postcard Bert found?
Yes, a crucial piece of evidence. Police did something quite novel. Then they published pictures, facsimiles, of this postcard in the papers. A kind of public manhunt.
What did it say?
It read, "Phyllis Darling, if it pleases you to meet me at 8:15 at the..." Then it stopped. And there was this distinctive little drawing of a rising sun, signed "Yours to a Cinder," and oddly, Alice.
Alice and the sun drawing. That became key.
Hugely important, because Emily's former lover, a woman named Ruby Young, saw it. She recognized the handwriting and that specific sun drawing. She said it was Robert Wood's.
The artist Emily was seen with.
Exactly. That pointed the police straight at him. And things looked even worse for Wood. When it came out, he tried to pressure Ruby Young into giving him a false alibi for that night.
Right, trying to cover his tracks. So this leads to the trial. Old Bailey. Big deal.
Oh, massive. A real public spectacle. You had Sir Charles Matthews prosecuting, a big name, Sir Edward Marshall Hall, the great defender, a legend in court.
And the case against Wood was?
Entirely circumstantial, no direct proof. They had the postcard, eyewitnesses placing him with Emily near the time, and crucially, that dodgy alibi attempt.
So how did Marshall Hall counter that? It sounds pretty damning.
His defense was, well, genius, really. He ripped into the eyewitness accounts, pointed out inconsistencies, how unreliable they can be, standard stuff, maybe.
But the alibi.
That was the masterstroke. He didn't deny Wood tried to get a false alibi. Instead, he framed it. He said, look, this isn't a clever murderer covering his tracks. This is a foolish, panicked man trying to hide an embarrassing affair from his respectable family.
Ah, so he spun the lie itself.
Precisely. He argued, why would a guilty man lie about the wrong time? This is clumsy, illogical for a murderer, but perfectly logical for someone caught in a compromising situation.
That's quite a twist. And Wood actually testified.
He did, which was huge back then. First murder defendant in English history, apparently, to testify and then be acquitted. A landmark moment.
Was he a convincing witness?
Reports suggest he was quite evasive, actually. But Marshall Hall managed to portray that not as guilt, but as shame, nervousness, made him seem pitiable, not dangerous.
And the judge.
His summing up, the final instructions to the jury, apparently shifted tone quite a bit towards the end. Became less critical of Wood, some reports say.
Oh, so the jury
deliberated for only 15 minutes, came back, not guilty. Huge cheers in the courtroom.
Incredible, but the police weren't convinced.
Not at all. Inspector Neal, who led the case, flat out said there was no moral doubt Wood was guilty. Those lies, the attempted false alibi, they still hang heavy over the case.
Were there any other serious suspects?
There was some talk, yeah. A figure known only as Scotty, supposedly violent from Emily's past, but he was never traced.
And the Walter Sickert connection, the artist, Jack the Ripper links.
That's mostly seen as sensationalism. Historians pretty much dismiss it. Sickert was probably in France during the Ripper murders anyway, and his painting titles, while sometimes dark, were likely just artistic provocation, not confessions.
So what happened to Robert Wood after all this? The man at the center of it all.
He just disappeared back into everyday life, became a successful illustrator, particularly of children's books, using different names. He married, lived a long life, died at 92.
Wow.
Took the secret of whatever happened that night, if there was one involving him, completely to his grave. A massive skeleton in the family closet, you could say.
So the Camden Town murder, it really is one of those great unsolved cases, isn't it? Full of ambiguity.
Deep ambiguity. Legally, he was found not guilty. But historically, morally, that's still very much an open question.
And this deep dive really shows how a case like this becomes this flashpoint. Media sensationalism, class issues, the way Emily herself was viewed because of her life.
Exactly. The complex dynamics of the era are all wrapped up in it.
We've laid out the evidence as the sources present it, but what stands out most to you listening? Was Robert Wood just incredibly lucky, saved by a brilliant lawyer? Or was he a killer who literally got away with murder for over 60 years? Leaves you thinking.